Okay, thank you very much. We are looking at probability of simple events. It's the introduction to probability. Probability of simple events. Here's some vocabulary. Go ahead and pause your video and write down the vocabulary. Let me get rid of this so you can see the entire vocabulary. Pause your video now and copy down the vocabulary words. Okay, now that you're unpaused, we're looking at probability. What is a probability? Well, probability is the chance that something will happen. Okay, and we can do this. We can figure this out mathematically by finding the probability of an event. So the probability of any single event is the number of favorable outcomes. Favorable means something that we like. So favorable outcomes is the outcome that we want to happen. An outcome is just a result of something we do. If you flip a coin, you have an outcome of either landing on heads or tails. So if we wanted to pick tails, we have one outcome, one favorable outcome, which is tails, and two possible outcomes. So our probability would be 1 out of 2. Examples that use probability: dice, spinners, coins, deck of cards, evens, odds, alphabet. There are lots of things that use probability. Here's a description of probability. The way we describe probability, whether something is likely to happen or not. We use a number line from 0% or 0 to 100% or 1. If your ratio of favorable outcomes to total possible outcomes is 0, we say that is impossible. If your ratio of favorable outcomes to total possible outcomes is 1, we say that is certain. If it falls somewhere in the middle, we say not very likely, the closer to 0 it is, somewhat likely, the closer to 1 it is, and if it's in the middle, or 50% or 0.5, we say it's equally likely. So the probability of simple events. If we're looking at rolling a dice, if we want to know the probability of rolling a 4, we have 1 4. That is our favorable outcome. We have 6 possible outcomes, because we have 6 faces on the die. So our favorable outcomes is 1. Our total possible outcomes is 6. So our probability is 1/6. We would say this is not likely because 1/6 is closer to 0 than it is to 1. Okay, again, rolling a die. This time, we want to know the probability of rolling an even number. We have 3 even numbers, so our favorable outcomes are 3. We have 6 total outcomes, so our possible outcomes are 6. So we have 3 out of 6, and then we have to reduce that. Our probability of rolling an even number is 1/2. So we would say this probability is equally likely. Okay, spinners. You can see the spinner over here. We have 4 pieces. Each one is a different color. We want to know the probability of spinning green. So I have a favorable outcome of spinning green. There's 1. Total possible outcomes, I have 4 possible colors I could land on. So my probability is 1 out of 4, 1/4. Probability is 1 out of 4. It is not likely because it is closer to 0 than it is to 1. Probability of flipping a coin. Okay, we talked about this at the beginning. So, and this is the exact same thing. If you want to know the probability of flipping a coin, it's still favorable outcomes over possible outcomes. You have 1 favorable outcome, which is landing on tails, and you have 2 possible outcomes, because you can land on heads or tails. So your probability is equally as likely, because it's 50%. Okay, decks of cards. What you may not know is that all regular decks of cards have 52 playing cards in them. There are 4 suits: hearts, clubs, diamonds, and spades. Those are called suits, and there are 13 of each suit. So, depending on what you're looking for, depends on how you do the probability here, but we're looking for the probability of picking a heart. I have 13 hearts because there's 13 in each suit. So I'm still looking for my favorable outcomes. There are 13 hearts in a deck of cards. There are 52 total cards, so my possible outcomes is 52. 13 over 52 can be reduced to 1/4. So we would say this is less likely because it's closer to 0. What is the probability of picking a non-heart? Okay, well, we have 13 cards in each suit, which means that if hearts has 13, so do the rest of them. So our favorable outcomes is 39. There are 39 cards that are not hearts. There are still 52 cards that are possible outcomes. So our probability of picking a non-heart is 3/4. This is going to be more likely because it is closer to 1. Here are some key concepts that you may need to make sure you understand. Okay, probability is a chance that an event will happen. It's the ratio of the number of ways a certain event can occur to the total possible outcomes. And the way we say this is the number of favorable outcomes. That's how you'll see it most often. If the ratio is closer to 0 on a number line, it is less likely. If it is closer to 1, it is more likely. Okay, those are the big ideas that you need to take from this. The next few slides are some practice problems. I want you to do those in your journal.